Hey, everybody, welcome to the call. We are going to begin in just a second. Thank you for being here live. This is our very first call, and I'm going to give you some background information before we really get into it. Go ahead and let me know. Can you hear me okay? And I will presenter. I'm going to share the screen in just a second. Okay, thanks, Andrea. Okay, good deal. Hey, Gary. Yeah, mic check, right? Okay, cool. So I made a game time adjustment on this whole product. I got good feedback from customers that have been around a long time, and we want to bring the product to market faster. My original plan was 1 to 1.5 niches a month throughout the year, really diving into each niche throughout the month. It just made sense to me. However, I got universal feedback that was more interested in hitting the niches faster, even if I load some without you being live, and then run the calls all year where we can talk and analyze and strategize. So we went with the majority, a vast majority, and we're going to move out niches a lot faster than I originally told you. So we're going to dive into this super fast. You're going to see content happening all the time. There's always going to be live calls. However, some of them may be strategy discussions. So I wanted to share that. We're going to start. Okay. We're going to start on the first call, which is automotive repair, automotive service shops. This is kind of the niche deep dive. We call it module 1, call it niche deep dive. You should see the screen, and it should start any second. Yeah, I didn't have the screen set up. It was Vanessa, and I took it back from her and then shared it. So if you don't see it now, there's a problem. Because I see it on my other computer that it shows okay. Let's see. We got a lot of content. This is going to be deep, and it's going to take at least a full hour. Vanessa will try to help you with any questions in the Q&A. She's got to step away for a minute, but when she comes back, she'll do her best to help you. If we don't get to your questions at the very end, I'll answer them and go through them. However, if it looks relevant and topical to the slide I'm on, I may incorporate it into the live call if that makes sense. Cool. All right. Yeah, the first month we're hitting insurance, automotive repair, funeral home. I went with the list, and I want to say no, I wasn't med spas. Vanessa, what's the ones that we did for the first month? I know we did insurance, and I know we did funeral home, and I know we did automotive. What was the other one?
CPAs, HVAC.
All right, CPA and HVAC. Those are the kind of the out of the gate, and they're going to happen pretty fast. So let's just make it happen. We're going to go. So what is automotive service? What the heck are we talking about? Unfortunately, I have experience with automotive service from today for me. So, and that's kind of how I decided to make this one today. When I ran into this little issue this morning, it made me laugh. Okay, automotive repair, mechanics. It's collectively known as automotive service. Provides mechanical and electrical repair, i.e. maintenance, for cars, trucks, vans, and trailers. This includes self-employed mechanics, auto repair shops, garages, and car care centers. That's what we're talking about in this. No, the BMW, Alan. That's what we're talking about in this niche. Now, what I'm not talking about, and I didn't know this until I did the research because I was going to throw oil change places in here. It does not include car dealerships, auto part retailers like what would be a AutoZone or something, right? Or gas stations that do some of this work. So I'm only talking. It does not include body shops. So by body shops, you had fender damage, etc., car washes, oil change places, or AC places. Just so you know, kind of, it's just the way I was able to get the data. Because I might have included some of those in, but I want to be clear so you understand what we're talking about and what we're not talking about. So there's a lot of these businesses. I think we already know that. 266,000. 69 billion in revenue, 5 billion in profit. It's growing about 1.5% a year over the last 5 years. Expected to continue growing around 1%, slightly slower. However, it's growing. It's a big industry. All right. So over the last 5 years, repair shops really benefited because more consumers and businesses were visiting them more often. People have more money over the last 5 years, right? And corporations have more profit. You know what happened is a lot of people that were doing do-it-yourself repairs, etc., started shifting into repair shops. Now, a risk, though, because of this growth, is the increase in average income could result in the average vehicle owner trading in, replacing their vehicle rather than fixing them or repairing them. And since new vehicles require less repair work, except for mine, this would be considered a threat. Okay. And excellent. Let's see. So automotive repair. What's interesting is it's about disposable income. So I found that fascinating as I researched this, that having more money, I guess it's a question of how much more. Having more money has people willing to fix and maintain their vehicles better, but if they have too much more money, they replace their vehicles. I mean, which makes sense, but I thought it was fascinating. Net, they're keeping their old vehicles longer. So, why else? Some other reasons I found is there are more domestic, more driving trips, road trips. It's increasing by almost 3.5%. The more miles you do, the more wear and tear on the vehicle, right? Resulting in more work. Average age of the vehicles, 11.9 years. So what's interesting, this takes into account all the new cars out there, all the old cars that are super old, comes into about 11.9 years. So key factors that come into play for auto repair shops. This affects the industry as a whole. What kind of disposable income do they have? How many vehicles are registered? How many more motor vehicles are registered? Average age of the vehicles. How many new car sales, right? Mileage driven, and then the price of oil, crude oil, also has an effect on this industry. So a lot of this I'm going to go through quickly because I have a lot of content. So this is interesting, right? So I just said this, but if your disposable income rises too quickly, repair work will decline because people buy new cars. And Chet made a good point that 30 years ago, this was a very common fear. However, more likely is a moderate increase. I don't know about you guys. Most people are not getting raised so many big raises they have to go out and buy new cars. Doesn't seem to be the standard, right? But however, a modest increase or a moderate increase in extra or this disposable income allows people to either get work done that they would have skipped or they would have done themselves. So this is an important factor, right? Number of vehicles. As there are more vehicles registered, more work is created for repair shops. Simple stuff. I don't think you need me to explain that. If there's more vehicles, there's more repair work. Perkins just said out in LA, he said, Brian, I drive cars until they turn into dust. David, you had a Lexus, right? When I was, you picked me up that one time and we had the barbecue. I think you had a Lexus, and yours was older, right? SUV, I think. All right. As the vehicle ages, it's more likely to require the big bucks, right? It's going to need serious repairs that a do-it-yourselfer is not going to do. And what happens is, as the age of the vehicle fleet, the national vehicle fleet, if you will, rises, so rises business for repair shops. And what's interesting is in 2019, the average age of all the vehicles in America rose again. So people are following David's lead. They're driving their cars longer. Yep. All right. Now, new car sales is kind of interesting. They have both a positive and negative effect on the demand for repair mechanic services, right? So if you get an influx or a big increase in new car sales, there's more vehicles on the road, resulting in a larger potential supply. However, new vehicles are more reliable, especially in the first few years, right? And they tend to need less work. So if you think about it, it has both a positive and negative effect. Now, what's interesting is new car sales went down 1% last year. This is brand new. So they went down 1%. Vehicle miles stands to reason. If you drive the heck out of your car, like David said, until it turns to dust, the more likely you're going to need repair and maintenance. So vehicles that are used more often will require more frequent maintenance, various levels of maintenance. And we'll get into some of that in a minute. Now, this increased, right, 1% from the previous year in terms of vehicle mileage. So this is going up. Oil, right? When gas is high, people tend to drive less. They feel like the sky is falling, right? And then when gas is low, it's the alternative. They drive more, they buy SUVs, etc., right? So oil's expected to rise. Who knows with all the issues in the Middle East right now, what's really going to happen, right? I don't think any of us could even guess. So as oil rises, if that happens, that could be a threat, to this industry, right? Little changes like that make, global changes really have an effect. Now, revenue over the last 5 years, right, across the industry, lots of growth. Consumers and businesses increasing their demand for this repair work. Less do it yourself, right? More professional grade repairs. Modest increase in money. Industry analysts are indicating that repair shops are going to grow 1.5% to 69 billion over the next 5 years, right? Annualized. So there's growth going on. So repair shops are growing, net. The next one's very important. I want you to pay attention on this one if you could. All right. Businesses account for 30% of the revenue for repair shops. How many of you guys knew that? I didn't know that, but I guess if I had thought about it, I would have known it. I would have realized it had to be true. Somewhere around there, right? I never thought about it that businesses account for, 30% of every bit of revenue for these repair shops. It's interesting. And nowadays, right, with the complexity Roger brought out, it's not the same as it was when all of us were younger in terms of repairing their vehicles. He reminisced on his 68 olds he had. Listen, businesses, this is going to be an opportunity, right, as we think of how to target this space. Yeah, I wouldn't even have thought about it. And you know what David Perkins just added? He said, look, Brian, the mechanic in my B&I group was always looking for businesses with multiple vehicles, fleet work. So as we start to dive into this niche more and target them, as we start to do that, fleet work is an opportunity. Getting them those business accounts, generating those leads is worth money. All right. You know, it really comes down where do Americans? I really like this chart. Where do Americans drive by themselves? This does not surprise me. Surprised Atlanta, which is the orange, the 70 to 80, and the top of Georgia is not higher. But I'm very impressed that Southern California is not in the 80 to 90, by the way. But this is I just thought it was interesting. Look, more people driving alone, more miles, right? Just building the case. So there's a lot of owner operators, so single person repair shops out there. Demand for these guys is continuing to rise as well. Part costs have gone down a little bit. These guys are making more money than they ever had. So the owner operators are starting to really have some cash flow available. And why that's important is they have money to invest in their business. So over the past 5 years, pricing for automotive parts, like I said, has declined. Some of the savings have been passed on to repair shops, not all, of course, right? And then what happens is the repair shops are then able to more competitively price their product or their service in that case. So we save a little bit, we as consumers, and these guys continue, they squeeze a little more profit out of every deal from where they used to be. All right. Just going to keep hitting you with some of this as we build the case, right? As we dive into this niche, because I don't know a lot about repair shops until I started doing the homework, other than as a patron of them, right? Um, so they're hiring more workers, right? They're up 1.4% workforce across the board. Wages are going up for repair shop employees, trained mechanics, right? Because like Roger pointed out, it's not the same changing your oil today or doing some kind of repair on your vehicle is not what it was when I had, an 82. I had a Ford Escort at one point. It was an 81 or 82. And, I actually could do basic work on that vehicle. Nowadays, it's obviously all about the computer and technology. So wages are going to continue to go up, right? More and more people. So this is interesting. We're seeing more and more people separate and start their own business, right? They become entrepreneurs. They go from how do I say it? They go from, hey, I'm the main mechanic at Pep Boys, now I have my own shop. Creating more opportunity for us, guys. Yeah, and Thomas has said, Brian, I got a body shop client, close enough, right? He can't find employees. Probably the same in repair. I would agree. It's the same in HVAC. So right, over the next 5 years, our disposable income, right, across the United States is forecast to increase 1.3%. So a lot of people that have had vehicles a long time and they've just had, how many of you can relate to this? You had a vehicle, like I got one of my cars is a 2003 Lexus SC430. It's a convertible. I always call it I'm not trying to be sexist, but a chick car. I bought it as a second car for my wife, and she loved it. A little convertible to drive around when we had the minivan. I passed it on to my daughter when she got to be 16. She just loved it. Of course, the antenna on the radio broke. Antenna wouldn't come out. You know what? It was not a priority. I never fixed it. one day I finally got pressured enough after like being broke 2 or 3 years, and I brought it in and I got it fixed. So a lot of that deferred maintenance kind of stuff, right? A lot of that deferred maintenance, these kind of projects are going to get done. Yeah, and a better word, as Chet said, is not mechanic but technician for sure. All right. So the average age, how many of you guys have let's make a poll. Let's do a poll. We'll do this live, and then people that aren't on live, they'll be able to see. We have a good amount of people here. And I think this would be an interesting sign. All right. Watch this. Age. This is going to be, I don't know, we got just under 300 people. Okay, age of your vehicle. All right, here we go. How's this for a poll? On the fly, completely made up. I think it'll really give us some insight, right, into all of us and into crazy. I would not have guessed this one. All right, let's get the votes in. We got about 65% have voted already. Let's get the votes in, you guys. I want to get as high as we can because this is good data. A lot of you guys have 20-plus-year-old vehicles. How old is mine? Let's see. My 03 is 17 years, so I got one. I've got 3 vehicles in 3 different categories. All right. There's 80 some odd percent. It doesn't usually get much higher than 85, so I'm going to kill it. Let's see. So if you got a brand new or pretty new car, right, 16%. These are so evenly distributed, but 60% is between 7 and 20 years. I've got 1 in 0 to 3, 1 in 4 to 6, and 1 in 10 to 20 for me. Very interesting. I thought I'd share that because you guys can see it. Who thinks they have the oldest vehicle that they actually drive? I don't mean you have one that sits on a block and it doesn't work. Who do you think? Who's got the oldest vehicle here? Let us know how old if you have a really old one, let us know how old it is. Let's see. Uh-oh. Cat's got a good one. Let's see, Cat, that's 32 years old on the Chevy truck, Cat. Let's see. Yep, Perkins sold a 93 Mercedes. He's got a 99 Lexus. David Hebert. Now, David, do you drive that Impala or no? Or is it just a classic? David's got a 1966 Impala convertible. Yeah, he drives it. Okay. And Kat's got a 1988 Chevy truck. Her husband refuses to sell because you can't find him anymore. Very cool. So 66, David, you win. Cat, strong second for sure. All right. I always find it interesting to get, heck with data we can research. Sometimes it's the real deal. It's interesting to me. So, vehicle fleet continues to age over the last decade. Length of ownership, right, up 60% over the last 10 years. Majority, 3 out of 4, 75% of aftermarket, right, auto repair is performed by your local repair shop, your independent shop, not your dealership. 25% at the dealership. Think about that right there. That's a good takeaway. There is a trend towards large franchise repair shops, which are buying up smaller shops. All right. Parts are now being sold online. I definitely have experienced that. I bought parts for my 03 Lexus online, and then I have my local mechanic / technician put them in because it's way cheaper. I'm cheap. So, all right, good stuff for sure. All right. Revenue rising. You can see that continuing to rise. Look at that. It's almost 50% higher in revenue across the board from 09 to 17. Look at that. From 4.1 billion to 6.79 billion. They're driving more revenue, more sales, more cars on the road, more people spending money, right? All right, profit margin. I think I knew this, but I didn't have the exact numbers. Part sales typically between 20 and 28%. Labor between 50 and 65. Obviously, there's wide variations by type of repair shop, right? These are generic numbers that I was able to pull together from. We've been doing a lot of research and homework trying to grab this data and build this stuff out. Yeah, and I install some myself, but some of the stuff is over my head, to be honest. Tire rack for tires, great example, Roger, on the parts. I used to do that, Kat. She said you use a pick and pull yard on some parts where you go in, grab the part you want, you pay for it, and you just leave, and then, great way to do it. Okay, so looking at this, you get an idea how much they make on a deal. I want you to remember these numbers if you can for a few seconds. So average cost, right? It's pretty hard to get this. AAA had a stat between 50 and 215 an hour, right? What good is that? 50 and 215. Extremely hard to get any intelligent data on this point. There was a lot of data, but most of it was garbage. So labor varies greatly. I bet David pays more than somebody in East Texas, right? All right. And that could be David Hebert in Boston or David Perkins in LA. I guess it doesn't matter. So labor rates are driven by rural versus urban. What's the labor cost, right, in that area? What about benefits? Are you in a Ford? Or are you in a Mercedes, right? The luxury, or even stepping up to like Lamborghini, Ferrari. Some of you guys know Todd. Todd, God, now Todd's name is escaping me right now. Todd from Boston that moved to New York, super active in our automotive program. Why can I not remember his last name? You guys, Todd Friedman. Todd Friedman. I knew it would come to me. Sorry, Todd, if you're here. Okay. Now, what's interesting is the reason I bring him up, he started as a mechanic at a Ferrari dealership, and he shared a lot of stories with me. What's it cost for overhead on the facility, right? What's the business overhead? The parts, the tooling, the training your techs, marketing, advertising, what kind of certifications do they have to get? All these things affect the rate. Now, the reason I decided to do this one today and not a different point is this morning I had one of my team, very, very weak today. I had one of our team, Teresa, take my car into the BMW dealership. And now I leased this car because I'd been driving like an 8 or 9-year-old car for a while and wanted to do a new car, and I did. And it's free oil change, right? Free filter oil change. There's no payment. Free scheduled maintenance. So I just said, hey, do you mind bringing it in? And she was super cool. She did it. This is like from today. Who knows where this story is going? Downhill is right, Andrea. It's exactly right. All right. She brings it in. I get a text and an email. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the text. I get this text. Let me turn on my webcam. This is literally today. I don't know if you can see it. Says, after inspecting your vehicle, BMW South Atlanta recommends additional work to be completed. Imagine that. All right. Does not surprise me. All right, so they come back today with, yeah, they took care of at no charge, windshield wipers, oil filter, etc. And they did an inspection. Now the inspection was like an upsell machine. So they immediately recommended that I needed two tires, both my rear tires, 275 35/20s, 102Y speed rating. That would be $797. And I needed an extensive alignment. Now, I got to be honest, I don't know what the difference is between an alignment and an extensive alignment. My front tires were also showing outside wear. The bummer is these front tires are only like my front and rear are only 8 or 9,000 miles on them. So I'm busy. I don't have time to deal with this, to be quite honest. Yeah, I'm in a lot of trouble. And all right. So net, I leased it into business, so this was a business account. I paid $1,124 to BMW of South Atlanta about 2 hours ago. So not exactly what I was thinking for my free oil change. And that, my friends, is the opportunity. This underscores the opportunity for these repair shops. Now, I knew the tires were weak. I knew they were weak. I probably could get them a little bit less. But I got to be honest. All right, if I save $150 on the tires, maybe $200, I just don't have the time. My problem is the time. I've got between the school board, between Media Mash and the IM side, and then the kids, it's pretty busy. Like I'm here 7 to 5 most days, 7:15, 7:20 to 5. And I just said, look, it's not ideal. I don't like it. But I did it because I'm out of town next week, and the rating on my tires were like 2 inches of tread left, or what was it? What's the symbol? Centimeters of tread. So anyway, I did it, and it got me thinking about the average spend per visit. Now, the oil change on my car, which is fortunately included right now, is $89. The average nationally is between 20 and 100. Tire rotation, multi-point inspection. Heck, there's no reason to charge for that. You ought to be doing that free all day long. You're just going to churn out opportunity. If anybody was involved in the automotive program that I did with Sid, one of the big takeaways was how service drove the revenue of the dealership. And you know what? These multi-point inspections, absolutely. Here's an example. Just today, they drove $1,200 in revenue. I would have bought those tires somewhere else, but I was in there for the free oil change, right? Like David said, there's no such thing as a free oil change. I don't know if they're run flat or not, Douglas. It's a 750 2018. They're good tires. They're sports, high performance speed tires is the problem. So Jeff Jeff said $423 per visit. I would have said 400. That's a pretty good number. He said this is from 7 of the shops that he works with. He's got 7 repair clients in Houston, or he had 7 repair shops. He said past tense. So 400-ish, 4.25 per visit, guys. All right. And I put down some costs. Average tire 50 to 300. So mine was a little bit above average per tire. About 20-30% higher. Windshield wiper replacement, air filters, brake pads. All these things just add up, and it's just mega profit for the repair guys because they're so easy, right? For a shop to handle. So you can see some examples of things that people do. 0 to 3-year-old vehicles versus 10-year-old plus or 11-year-old plus. Interesting, huh? Switching to premium oil. Changing the oil more often on older vehicles, using a fuel additive, replacing the filter, replacing the air filter. People get smart. As their vehicles age, they know they have to maintain them. The next slide is an important takeaway, just like the business slide. I really want you to pay attention to this one. I had no idea, but once again, the more I think about it, this slide will surprise no one. I hope I don't offend anyone here. How many of you here are under 40? If you're under 40, I might make you mad. I apologize. All right. Here goes. Yep. Sorry, Francisco. A big opportunity for repair shops, millennials. They are the most likely to have vehicles, all the vehicle service stuff performed. Oil change, non-millennials was first. But a younger millennial tends to do more repair than an older millennial, which is probably where you are, Francisco. And obviously a lot more than a non-millennial. Because I don't know about you guys, I'm reasonably competent to change my windshield wipers. Apparently that's not the case with the younger millennials. I will admit I don't change my own tires, and I'm not a millennial. Interesting. They're doing they're doing more basic maintenance and not deferring it. So it's an opportunity to exploit, as we know this, right? Yeah, Douglas said because they're bloody computers on wheels, right? They really are. You know, it's so funny. Roger just said millennials have no idea how to write checks. Stuff that may be easy to you and I escapes them. My daughter, I have an 8th grader, and she was learning how to write checks in some class at school the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go visit that class. I am so thankful that they're teaching that. I I don't get it. Michael McMillan said, Brian, I do anything non-technical myself. Anybody know offhand age range of millennials? What's the millennial age range? Patrick's asking, and I honestly don't know. I got to get back at it. We got a lot more to go. Millennials. All right, I'm going to find it. We'll come back to it. I'm sure someone will have it in a second. All right, so this stands to reason. The older the vehicle, they are more likely and more willing to spend more than $1,000. Like David, who's got a Lexus, I think you said 99, David. You are willing to spend $1,000 every now and then to keep it up. It beats the heck out of an $800 a month payment, right? Or more. Yeah, I have one vehicle with a payment and 2 with not, and I hate my payment every month. Painful on the BMW lease. Painful. So the older the vehicle, the more likely they're willing to spend the big money. So that is something that's something to kind of play up, and we should dive into. So we got millennials doing more repair than anybody else, and younger millennials at that. We got older vehicle owners, and I think I knew this, are more likely to spend the big money. We got businesses as a major opportunity, 30% of the market. Yep. Francisco, let's see. Christy said millennial 25 to 35. Perkins says, yeah, about that. Born in 97 to the present. Okay. All right. '81 to '96, Francisco said he just looked it up. So an older millennial born in '81 is that's late 30s, right? Yeah, 38, 39. Whereas a younger millennial, I mean, truly a baby, 23, 24 years old, right? Okay, there you go. There's your millennials, right? Now, the newer vehicle owners are willing to spend for appearance-related products. Glass cleaners, tire stuff. These are the add-on products. So in terms of marketing out to an install base, this is smart stuff. These are the guys that'll spend on this product, right? All right. I want to get into the most popular services that are being done. You got powertrain, you got scheduled maintenance, and brakes are your big three. Let's talk about those. Numero uno. This is an important one. So the powertrain. This is your major parts required for your car or your truck to run. This is your engine, your transmission, your wheels, your axles, right? If the powertrain doesn't work, the vehicle does not work. You cannot operate, cannot run. Obviously, that makes powertrain the most common repairs that are being done because they're required, right? But it's important that you guys know that. I don't think I knew it. I guess thinking about it, I now know it, but I didn't think about it before. I would not have guessed this. I would have said brakes or tires number 2. If I knew the first one was number 1, I would not have said scheduled maintenance 2, because I tend to think that most people are slack and they let this stuff go. Oil, hoses, belts, etc. I guess I'm wrong. I have no idea what a tire dressing is, and Christy's asking me, does anybody have insight, somebody smarter than me about cars, what's tire dressing? It's a good question. It was on the previous slide. Here. Someone will probably Google that because I don't think most of us know. All right, number 3, anybody? Brakes. This is the one thing that even when I was broke in my life, completely broke, if I was having brake problems and the noise, you're hearing the metal, pads are gone, the rotors, the pulsating, this is something you always figure out how to pay and get done. It's funny how that works. Dressing might be Armor All, guys. Christy, Armor All. Thank you, guys. Spray on shine. It's cosmetic. It makes your tires shine, is what they're saying. It's just to put it on a tire and really make them pop and sizzle. It's like Armor All on your tires. I think I have a product in my garage called Black Magic that does that for my tires. Okay. What? Roger said his front disc brake pads lasted 96,000 miles. That's impressive. All right. So brakes are number 3. Now, higher income people tend to spend money on the electronics, the telematics, add-ons, upgrades, things like that, right? And I think we know that. I don't really see the opportunity here right now. They tend to spend money on non-essentials. So the projection is the 10-year Treasury note, which ties closely to the current interest rate, right, that we're paying on these kind of products. The yield's forecasted to rise between now and 2024. What that really means, net, cutting through all of what I found, is that new car sales are expected to remain stagnant over the next 5 years. They're not expected to grow. I think that's an important, another important takeaway, right, as we're thinking about this niche. All right, marketing budget, and we're going to get into this in the different module, but I threw a few slides in here. Felt like it was important. All right, industry experts recommend that the average repair shop spends 4 to 5% of annual sales. Well, now what's interesting is they recommend targeted sales, not current annual. So if you want to make more money, do more marketing, right? Obviously. So if you want to get to $1 million, You need to spend 4 to 5% of a million, is the rule of thumb, right? However, from what I can find, 1%, 1.1 is the percent auto shop spends on revenue on marketing. They continue to grow. These are small numbers. This is a negative I found. Marketing budget pretty small, you guys. They should be spending 4 times the amount. But remember, they're making more money each and every year right now. So part of the way to connect to them is we got to tie the investment in marketing to continuing to make even more money. Of course, the next question you're going to ask me is this. Average repair shop revenue is in this range. Remember, this is the average. That means 50% of them are higher than this number. Okay? All right. So we got a highly competitive industry, right? There's many options to choose from in almost any town. They really need to have a little bit of brand recognition. If they're not a national chain, if not brand, then reputation, right? Probably goes a long way. They need new customers, and they need to keep the ones they have. So reactivation campaigns are big in addition to lead gen. Reputation, big, right? Branding at a local level, pretty big. You can brand your repair shop, you're really going to get somewhere. How do they compete? I think we know this on quality of service and price. I don't know about you guys. Do you shop on price or a mix of price service? Most consumers tend to shop on price, yet they also want high quality service. A lot of times the name brand or any recognition or reputation definitely comes into play, depending on the type of vehicle and the buyer. Michael said service. Jim and Roger said a mix. Christy said price and rep. Francisco said mix for a car, but as always, price usually wins. Yeah, I mean, look, I see somebody with a 3.7 reputation and it's 140 bucks and it's 290 for the guy with the 4.2. I got to be honest, I'm probably paying 170. Okay. Where are the sales coming from? Where did business in this industry come from? 30% business, like I told you, right? Consumers 45 to 64, 26%. Under 45, 24%. 65 and older, about 14%. We're not worried about government and nonprofit. So the business and the age groups, I think, are useful. What else? No. The reason those 45 and to 65-year-old consumers are the biggest spenders, even though more work's being done at that young millennial age, is these guys are the highest earning. They have the ability to do the expensive projects. Yeah, so on the business side, I think there's a lot of room to build out strategies to target other businesses for, let's call it fleet work. Like my little brother has 5 or 6, I don't know how many he has, 5 or 6 trucks, vans, like for his AC work. And I used to know what kind he had. I want to say there's Chevys. He may have a Sprinter. I'm going to have to find out. I actually have no idea now what he has because he's turned them over. This doesn't mean that much. I just like the chart. I grabbed it. This just shows you repair shops are located where the population centers are. Right? So David out in LA, you got the most, man. And then obviously you see Texas, New York, Florida, Illinois, right? And you see how it kind of builds out. So strengths, weaknesses, what kind of opportunities? What are we looking at, right? Let's see. I'm gonna find some points. I don't think, for me, and I took this from IBIS. Um, for me, the high competition weakness is a big one. There's a heck of a lot of competitors. There's a low barrier of entry, right, and a low profit margin. These weaknesses are big, and you know what that means? You better keep the clients you have. You better reactivate them, right? So, as the age of the vehicles in our country changes, this is a major threat to them. Big change. See, for me, it's the opportunity for us. This is their SWOT. We really, I'm going to rebuild this so it's more about us. We'll do it in module 2. So, what's interesting, we know they have all these competition. There's not that many major players. There are some big franchise players, but it's a splintered group, right? There's a lot of local providers that tend to do quite well. We need to design things that cater to their weaknesses in their business, which is the competition, the low profit margin, low barrier to entry. We need to design programs to exploit that. So the branding, the lead gen, the reactivation, things that insulate them from those weaknesses are going to be good. Building them out. I just saw, where is it? Patrick said, Brian, my mechanic has over 150 5-star reviews. Think of that as building a shield around that guy's business. So smart. He said, I even drive a few miles to get to him. David said his son, I didn't know that. He's a service writer at a Lexus dealership in California. And basically, he's the guy who sells you the new tires, etc., when you come in for the oil change. Hey, David, do they get a bonus or commission for doing that kind of stuff? I bet they do. I don't know. I'm just curious. That's who sold me, apparently, the tires today. I put this back up. Roger asked to see this. These are just percentages. This just echoes there's more repair shops in the major population centers. For instance, in Mississippi, there's a heck of a lot less than in Florida. There are more repair shops and mechanics correlated to population centers. That's all. All right. If you're like me, some of you may say, hey, I want some of these terms. I want to understand some of these words. Telematics. So these are communications, telecom inside your vehicle, like your GPS nav system, hands-free cell phones, your automatic driving, on like the BMW, the Tesla. A lot of the vehicles are getting those things, right? Telematics. How many of you knew what telematics was, or how many of you just figured it out? It's a word I had heard, but I knew it had to do with telecom, but I didn't really understand what they meant by it. Oh, wow. David said most of the service writers work on commission, so it is commission. And remember, Thomas just said something that I completely agree. Remember this. Their weakness, right, on that SWOT analysis is our opportunity. Spot on. Remember, that is the opportunity that we need to exploit. But so let's get a few buzzwords in. Telematics, we talked about. Aftermarket, we hear that phrase a lot. This is just parts not made by the original manufacturer, also known as OEM, right? The best aftermarket parts will meet or exceed the quality of the original parts in your vehicle. So, as an example, you bought your vehicle came with tires, and then instead, when you went to replace your tires, you bought Michelins instead, real expensive Michelins. There's an example. There we go. I knew I had that slide. OEM. Parts created by the original manufacturer. So when you hear that word, it's important just that you know what they're talking about. All right. ASE is the common abbreviation, right? This is the certification program for mechanics, technicians, really. Mechanics, I mean it with all respect. I have much respect. I think of quote unquote mechanics as computer programmers. Seriously, or computer repair guys, honestly. It's pretty impressive. Do it for me. I guess I'm a do it for me customer on my BMW. I prefer to hire a pro to do all the work instead of me doing any of it. Do it yourself. Imagine that. I think we know what this is. The people that are either going to break out the old, you remember that? Anybody have the old Chilton books on how to fix their car? They had all these manuals. I used to buy them at the shop on how to fix my first 3 or 4 vehicles when I was doing every little thing myself. And I would agree with what David said. David Perkins said it. Most people can't work on a modern vehicle. There's just too much computer stuff, right? There really is. The manufacturers are making do-it-yourself a pretty difficult thing. Powertrain. We talked about this, right? The main components that generate the power and deliver it to the road, right? Engine, transmission, suspension, wheels. If the powertrain's broken, the vehicle probably isn't driving, right? Sometimes you'll see warranties that vary. Powertrain is one amount and bumper to bumper might be another one, right? Scheduled and preventative repair and maintenance. This is basically designed to avoid having major failures in the vehicle, but what really happens is it creates the ultimate upsell for the dealerships. Oh, wait a minute, Paul, I got to go back. I just saw what Paul said. I'm sorry, Paul. Paul just said, Brian, she's looking on where to put the windshield wiper fluid. It's probably exactly what she's doing, right? Or she's about to do. Yeah, I got to be honest on this one. Michael Belba's right. It's hard to even find the spark plugs on a car from last year, as an example, much less even get to them. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I would have been this person today. Well, mine was a time issue, really. I just don't have the time, and um, I would have shopped those tires harder in an ideal world. I don't know. I'm driving my kids around. Fear, right? Fear got me. Who knows what LOF is? I did not know what it is. But as soon as I read about it, I'm like, oh no, duh, obviously. LOF. Any takers? Lube, oil, and filter. LOFR, lube, oil, filter, and rotation. Yeah, Harold had it. I just noticed. Um, these are preventative maintenance terms, right? So if they're dropping acronyms, it's important you know what the heck they're talking about. Unfortunately, I know this one. TPMS refers to your tire pressure monitoring system. Basically, it's a system that tells you when your tire pressure is low. It comes up on your dash. And what happens on older cars like my '03 Lexus, the TPMS is always breaking in a tire and giving me false positives. So it's kind of a pain on the older cars for me, at least my experience. But it's useful. for people that don't check the air in their tire, and at least they can get an alert, right? Yeah, Michael said, Brian, they wear out. When they replace them, they really just don't work. That's been my experience. All right. So what I want to do, that's the last slide that I put together. I wanted to spend a couple minutes. I know I'm already at the hour and 5 mark, but I'd like to just talk through some of this, right? So I'm going to create a slide where I can make some notes. I am going to put the slides in the members area, right? So that you can have them, and when it makes sense, you can reuse whatever we got to do, right? Oh my God, Kat just said, Brian, 3. Let me put this on the screen. 3 out of 8 spark plugs blew out of her expedition. Couldn't get it or fix it ourselves. Cost $100 each to fix these spark plugs. A week after she fixed the 3rd one, the whole transmission went out. Wow. I hate that. I'm so sorry. All right, let's do some takeaways. Help me out, guys. Takeaways about automotive repair, right? We dove pretty deep into this. We got 3 more modules, including one where I'm going to bring on a repair shop owner. We're going to give you everything you need if you so choose to go after this. We're going to get the research report where we get all of our strategy and we get our analysis. We're going to get into pricing. We're going to get into, the fulfillment strategies. And then we're going to bring on, like I said, the live business owner. In some cases, I may have to bring like the manager, cosmetic surgeon. It may be hard for me to get the doctor, but I bet I can get his front office manager to come on. I'll get one of them. So let's talk here. Yes, Lorena asked a really good question. And hey, Lorena, will the replays always be available in the members area? Vanessa, I think, is here in the background. She stepped away for a minute, but she's here. Vanessa, can you back me up? In the members area, we'll have all 4 slide decks and the replays, correct?
Replays, slide decks, any corresponding resources.
So when we finish the 4th module in automotive, we'll build out a 1 or 2 page PDF cheat sheet. That'll be what you'll probably really use on a regular basis, and it'll be in there as well. Okay, let's talk about these takeaways. All right, Alan, right out of the gate. I couldn't agree more. 30% corporate business clients, right? So opportunity to help repair shops exploit this. Land 1 client, multiple vehicles. It's kind of like us getting a franchise, right? Same concept, exact same concept. All right, good one. Very good one, Alan. What else? Client retention. This is Christy and Alan. Christy and Alan Pepperdine, because I got, man, you guys, if you only know. Okay, so client retention, reviews, reputation, critical. Now let's talk about reviews, and rep is critical not only to retention but also to attract new revenue, new clients. Okay. All right. Another one. All right, here's a good one from Roger, and none of us hit on this earlier, but he's exactly right. He says, Brian, lots and lots of potential clients. Okay, so there's a lot of prospects, guys. You can make a pretty good living in this niche. and we'll talk more about that on the pricing side. Let's see, Woodley. Wow, Woodley said, he said, Cat, I got a Navigator. The plugs were $4 each for 8. Ford tried to scam me. Not uncommon. All right. Yep, that targeting businesses who have fleets seems smart from a lead standpoint. Yep. I'm gonna move that up to the top, Patrick. Okay. Now, what's important is a lot of repair shops don't know how to target a business that has a fleet. Can anybody give me a couple examples of businesses that have a fleet of vehicles? Give me some examples. I gave you my brother, right? Let's see, HVAC, roofing. Who else has fleets of vehicles? Carpet. Oh, cab companies. Yeah, I like that. Plumbers. See, the thing on U-Haul, I'm going to put U-Haul up there, but don't they usually have an in-house repair? In many cases they do, but maybe not always. Delivery service. I like that. I wouldn't have thought of that one. Gary, good one. Okay, and there's obviously more. These are some examples, right? All right. Client retention, lots and lots of clients everywhere. Yeah, totally agree, Roger. I got to figure that out. So from a wording, Jeff, are you still here? Jeff, is the proper word clients or customers? I would probably say customers, right? For me, they're a client, right? I look at the repair shop as a client. And I use that word interchangeably. Customer retention, though, for them, millennials, right, is another one. Another kind of, we pulled out of here. Millennials are excellent target demographic, we'll say it. All right. Customers, okay. I'm skimming this. Okay. Any other takeaway? Oh, I see it. Thank you, Christy. Any other takeaways? All right. So repair shop weaknesses, right? Lots of competition. Low margins. What was the other one? Tough to get employees, quality employees, and low barrier of entry was the other one. These were the big ones that I remember seeing. So Michael McMillan just said, Brian, we need to be problem solvers for their competition pain. Yes. We need to help them. We need to treat these guys like it's the warrior form. We're gonna help them obliterate, annihilate, demolish their competition, right? On low margins, that's probably not where we're gonna be good at. But we know it's a low barrier of entry. So with lots of competition and a low barrier of entry, I agree with Christy Pepperdine, who earlier said customer retention is so key, and that review and reputation plays a big role. Obviously, search, word of mouth is big now in the age of social, but search still comes into play, especially when it highlights the actual their reputation for somebody that maybe doesn't know, right? Well, Perkins said, Brian, is the barrier of entry really that low considering all the sophisticated equipment? it wouldn't be low for you and I, David, to go start a shop. But if you got a quality mechanic, I think if you're a trained expert, apparently there's a trend where a lot of them are leaving to become solopreneurs. And I think that was the point of the research. A lot of them were disappearing, leaving. It's like you leave your corporate gig to do your own gig. Ed said the margins seemed good to me, so we're gonna have to. I'll dig deeper on that one, Ed. Yeah, David, we'll definitely, David Rocher, we'll definitely have a replay for you. It shouldn't take us very long to get the replay up and out. Okay, so I agree with all these takeaways. I think this is good. So where are we going with this? Right? We dug deep on this niche, right? So here's where we're going. We're going to have 3 more specific modules. Let's call them a module right now for the sake of. All right, so I'm going to move this to a slide. Hang on, let me see if I can paste without formatting. Okay, here we go. So on our budget, right? This is an important one. Our budget that we're going to get into. What's the value of a customer? What's the value of a lead? What are they spending? Let's dig into it. Where are they spending money? How can we package our services to exploit the weaknesses we identified, right? That's a big one right here. This is one that we're going to get into. This is where we start really getting smart, right? And pricing. How do we price to win the deal without being too low? So we got that coming. Next, we also have, let's say next, we're going to get into fulfillment. What products, what services work? So what do I mean by that? Let's see. Change my spacing so I can get all this on one page. All right. So on the fulfillment side, I think this is important. What if we know AdWords is good, and I'm typing this one live. I didn't build these out. So what's working and what doesn't work in repair, right? All right. How are we going to get more leads, customer sale, better rep, how to position, what to not waste your time on, what services make no sense? You shouldn't even bother pitching. What should you be doing, right? And of course, what I'm hoping that you guys are as high on as we are is we called it the hot seat, right? And I really think this is a big one. I really think kind of going into this, watch this. All right, so what I need from you, and Vanessa's going to send you an email. Everybody will get an email. Actually, Vanessa, how are you going to do that? I don't want to step on how you want to handle that, but talk to me how we're going to get the questions that I'm going to use for the interview.
I'm going to put up kind of like a survey inside the members area at the 2020 Niche Mastermind members area. Inside the Niche Mastery course, there'll be on the navigation bar, there'll be interview. It'll say interview, and then when you open that page, it'll be like a survey, but really it'll just be where you can enter in the questions that you would like to see answered. And you can, it'll be a drop down so you can pick the niche that you want to ask it to.
I love it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll go through all the questions. I'll abstract them up, come up with the list. This is a call we'll do live with you every time. So the reason I want to do it live is I want you to be able to hear and ask questions firsthand on the repair shop owner. Okay. So I think it's very important for you to be able to ask those kind of questions. And I will interview them. I'll pretend it's I will be a friendly interviewer asking hard questions, real questions, if that makes sense. Cool. All right. So more than likely, in the effort to do more to speed up, we're going to do something like this. We'll do the niche overview in the hot seat live every time. The other ones, and you'll have notice and all that stuff. The other calls, I may build them out myself and load them and then email you so that they're there. And then we can talk about them on strategy calls, if that makes sense. And I think that'll allow us to kind of honor your request, which is to go faster. And we'll do way more calls than I promised, but we'll also be smarter so that we can get more niches out quicker to you. And I agree. I think it was good feedback, and I'm happy to make those adjustments. So that is our plan right now. We will get the replay out very quick. Yep, Francis. Hey, Francis Fillion, good to see you. And Francis has an auto repair shop prospect, so excellent. We will be more than likely 1 to 2 calls a week, Patrick, Killian. Now, I may just, when I do the recordings on the other calls, I will post in the Facebook group with a little bit of notice, probably not a lot, during the mornings, and say, hey, I'm going to record these 2 calls. Anybody who wants to join can just sit in and then fire in questions if you want. And in that case, it'll feel like there's 5 or 6 or 7 calls, but they will be more off the cuff, you know what I mean? As I finish building it out, like I've built out all the deep dive calls already. And well, I'm 90%. And my goal was it would be 1 niche a month, but however, I'm modifying that we're going to hit the guest hot seat live and the niche live. And then I will do the other ones more ad hoc, and then we can kind of do Q&A and strategy about them. And then when they're all packaged up, what Vanessa and her team are going to do, Vanessa, why don't you describe what you and Melissa are going to do?
When we package everything up in the end?
Yeah, I'm talking about like with the cheat sheet PDF, sorry.
Oh, yeah, so we're going to take all of the training, the niche overview and the pricing and the fulfillment and the everything, and give you one succinct, easy to follow, kind of like an action plan cheat sheet that'll go through like the hot topics you need to know, with the niche overview, like what we did today, the marketing strategies that work, what don't work, the products that work, what don't work. So you know what to focus on, the pricing for the average industry based on revenue and marketing budget, the vernacular, lexicon, vocab words, so that yes, you go through the entire training, but maybe you didn't take notes on every single word all the way through. You will have a professionally put together notes cheat sheet to go with you whenever you work with any niche.
Perfect. So that is our plan. I appreciate everybody being here. This is awesome. We'll make sure you're in the Facebook group. Vanessa, if you could, whatever we got to do, shoot out the messages, get everybody fired up. Cool. Hey, completely unrelated. Roger, thank you. And I'm going to pass that on to Tracy. She ran that. And I will, I'll make sure she knows that. That's really nice to hear. And we'll try to use that format based on what you said. Yeah, Patrick, so why don't you guys help me right now on this call? Why don't we do this together? All right, so let me talk me through it. And I'll be honest, I added stuff more than we had. Okay, so we do this. So we have automotive repair, carpet cleaning, funeral homes, HVAC, chiropractor, churches. This is going to be a good one, you guys. I can't wait to do that with you. Lawyers, we are going to hit subspecialties, insurance, HVAC, real estate, roofing, dentists, CPAs, right? Gyms, cosmetic surgeons, med spas, and restaurants. Now, in addition to this, I got excited. I added in CBD / legalized marijuana. And something else we added in that everybody was super high on. Oh, mortgage. Mortgage, I think, was the other one, Vanessa. Look, at the end of the day, here's the goal, you guys. End of the day is to hit where there's interest. We want to go into it and really build it out and crush it. But what I need from you, let me write these. You can help control how these roll out right now because okay. What else do we got? Hang on, give me a second. Let me learn to spell. So we knew all along we'd end up doing more because it's hard when, you know, you get caught up. People have great ideas that we didn't have. So let's do more. So we left off with, hang on, where is this at? Dentists. All right, so funeral homes. Yeah, in essence, I'm going to ask you to help me rank the order you want to do. And I am more than open to modify based on your feedback, you guys. All right, so this is 17. Am I missing any, Vanessa? I think this is, we had 16, we added CBD and mortgage. I'm missing one.
Do you have political candidate? We added that one.
We added political too. Sorry.
And then we have, it's not really a niche, but a bonus on how to address or approach franchises in general.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. So now that I've got them all on this piece of paper, you know what we may do? Here's what we're going to do to keep it, instead of me just trying to do everybody who's on this call, which actually is about 90, you know, a lot of you. It's 80, 90%, I think. Vanessa, if you will create a, what would you call it on Facebook, a poll, and put them all in there. You guys, everybody, you can vote. How about you vote for your top 5? Is that fair? Everybody pick 5, and that'll allow us to see where the majority of the interest lies. We're doing all of them. It just affects what order. And we will alter and release based on you. Like, there was a decent amount of interest in mortgage. Pretty easy one for me to do. I've got a couple clients. I've got connections there. Not hard at all. Political is going to be super easy for me. Real estate, Roger, I was hoping to maybe hit you and maybe 1 or 2 others up to be on like a panel, if that was okay, on the real estate side. But all right, so we're going to put this into members area in a minute, and you guys can control the direction. And and we'll be real transparent. Everybody gets to pick 5. Honor system. Don't pick 10. I mean, I don't think we can police it at 5, but just pick 5, and then we'll do them in order based on priority. All right, awesome, Vanessa. Thank you very much. Everybody else, fabulous. You know what, Roger? Let me put them in Facebook instead, so that I can have it managed better. And we'll put them in Facebook right now, so it'll only take us in the next 5 or 10 minutes. It should appear there. It's really easy. We'll put them in as a poll, and then just go in and vote. But thank you guys for being here. I'm going to cut this part off the end of the call for the recording. But for everybody who was here live on the call today, thank you very much, and we will see you very shortly. Thanks all. See you guys. Bye.